Welcome to the realm of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Enjoy listening. Brandon Chamberlain stood alone, caught in the midst of a diplomatic crisis. The successful invasion of humanity by the astrospace colony had left the Earth in ruins, with only a handful of diplomats like Brandon remaining. But what set Brandon apart from his peers was his unique rapport with the alien colonists. Unlike most, he hadn't resisted them to the point of open hostility. His diplomacy, born of pragmatism and restraint, had kept him safe and allowed him to play a vital role in the survival of Earth's fragile leadership. One morning, Brandon arrived at his workplace, summoned by a government official of significant importance. He knocked on the door and entered upon hearing a call to proceed. Sitting across from him was Director Brooks, a man whose reputation for demanding the impossible was legendary. "Mr. Chamberlain," Brooks began, his tone heavy with urgency, "we owe you our gratitude for your service to this state. However, we need your help with another critical matter. There is a woman, Sanaa, currently being held captive by the astrospace colony's leader. She claims to have the power to end this war, and she has provided substantial evidence to support her claim. If you can rescue her, it may save countless lives and bring about a long-awaited peace. Can we count on you for this mission?" Brandon's response was immediate. "I am at your service, Director Brooks. Tomorrow, I will set out and follow every directive necessary to bring her back." Leaving the meeting, Brandon returned to his home to prepare. He spent the evening poring over intelligence reports about the colony, gathering information on Sanaa and her imprisonment. According to the records, she had initially been a key figure working in the colony's favor. However, when she attempted to overthrow the colony leader, her rebellion was swiftly crushed, and she was imprisoned in a high-security facility. Sanaa had managed to contact Earth, pledging to expose critical information about the colony's inner workings in exchange for her freedom. The following morning, as dawn broke, Brandon embarked on his mission. The journey to the astrospace colony was arduous, fraught with both physical and psychological challenges. Along the way, Brandon studied maps, analyzed the colony's defenses, and formulated a plan to locate and extract Sanaa. The colony was a fortress equipped with patrolling drones, biometric scanners, and advanced cybersecurity measures. Upon arrival, Brandon set up a covert observation point. Hours of surveillance revealed that Sanaa was being held in a heavily secured research facility, one of the colony leader's most guarded locations. Gaining access required a combination of cunning and subterfuge. Brandon infiltrated a logistics center, using it to forge a counterfeit access card and acquire a biometric signature. Hacking into the colony's security network, he confirmed Sanaa's location: the third floor of an isolated laboratory with restricted access. A narrow window in the ventilation system was the only viable entry point. As night fell, Brandon put his plan into motion. He staged a diversion by sabotaging power lines in a distant part of the colony, drawing security forces away from the research facility. With the perimeter weakened, he slipped through the ventilation system and navigated silently to the third floor. Disabling the security terminal outside Sanaa's room, he entered to find her waiting, her face a mixture of exhaustion and hope. Brandon gestured for silence. "I'm here to get you out. Follow my lead." Sanaa nodded, her movements quiet and purposeful. Together, they retraced Brandon's planned escape route. The service corridor they used was less patrolled than other areas, but the risk remained high. Outside, a concealed vehicle awaited them. Brandon started the engine as Sanaa took a final, reflective glance at the colony she was leaving behind. Their escape was discovered shortly after, triggering alarms across the colony. But Brandon's diversion had disabled critical systems, buying them just enough time to evade pursuit. The vehicle raced away, carrying them beyond the colony's reach. Their journey back to Earth was a tense one, marked by stops at secure outposts to refuel and gather supplies. At last, they reached Earth under the cover of night. Instead of heading directly to Brooks to report the mission's success, Brandon decided to take Sanaa to his home for much-needed rest and recovery. In the quiet of his home, the weight of their ordeal began to lift. Brandon prepared tea, While Sanaa settled into the small but comfortable space, she observed him with a thoughtful gaze, her gratitude evident in her expression. "You saved my life," she said softly, breaking the silence. "I owe you so much." Brandon turned to meet her eyes, sensing a vulnerability that mirrored his own. She stepped closer, surprising him with a light kiss on the lips. "Name your price," she whispered, leaning in for another kiss. The warmth of her touch and the intensity of her gaze stirred something in Brandon. For the first time, the weight of duty began to waver against the pull of something personal, something undeniable. Brandon finally spoke, his voice low. "When I deliver you to Brooks, what happens next? What changes will you bring?" Sanaa hesitated, her fingers brushing his. "Seeing you, it's made me reconsider everything. Forget the war. Forget the colony. What if we left it all behind? Just you and me. The world is too broken to fight them. But together, we could find a new life. Far from all this." Her words left Brandon conflicted. The idea of abandoning his duty clashed with the sudden, overwhelming connection he felt. "Let's decide in the morning," he said finally. "For now, let's rest." That night, as they lay side by side, the unspoken bond between them deepened. Morning brought clarity, or perhaps the illusion of it. Brandon rose early, preparing breakfast. Before he could call Sanaa to the table, his phone rang. "Brooks." Brandon let it ring, his resolve hardening. He had already made his choice. Leaving the breakfast untouched, he woke Sanaa. "We're leaving." "Now?" Confused but trusting, Sanaa dressed quickly, and they set out in Brandon's vehicle. The road stretched ahead, leading them away from the life they had known. By the time they reached their destination, far from Earth's remaining centers of power, they had discarded their old identities. The place they chose was remote, nestled in a quiet valley surrounded by towering cliffs and dense forests. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of wildflowers and fresh earth. Brandon had planned for this moment, having prepared a small cabin hidden deep within the wilderness. It was modest but well-equipped, a sanctuary where they could rebuild their lives far from the chaos they had left behind. Sanaa stepped out of the vehicle and looked around, her eyes scanning the serene surroundings. "This is where we start over?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. Brandon nodded. "It's not much, but it's safe. No one will find us here." For the first few days, their focus was on settling in. Brandon showed Sanaa the systems he had put in place to ensure their survival: a self-sustaining power generator, water filtration unit, and a small greenhouse where they could grow their food. Sanaa, despite her initial unfamiliarity with such a lifestyle, adapted quickly. She helped Brandon repair the cabin's roof, organize supplies, and plant new seeds in the greenhouse. At night, they sat by the fireplace, the crackling flames providing warmth and comfort. Their conversations ranged from their pasts to the uncertain future ahead. Sanaa spoke of her time in the Astra colony, her aspirations before the rebellion, and the cost of her defiance. Brandon, in turn, shared stories of his work on Earth, his regrets, and the doubts that had plagued him during his mission. One evening, as they sat together, Sanaa broke the silence. "Do you think we can really stay hidden forever?" Brandon looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "I don't know, but I do know that this is the best chance we have. We can't change the world out there, but we can create one here, for ourselves." Days turned into weeks, and the routines they established became second nature. Brandon hunted and maintained the cabin systems, while Sanaa tended to the greenhouse and expanded their food supplies. Despite the simplicity of their lives, they found joy in small moments. The satisfaction of a successful harvest, the beauty of a sunrise over the valley, the quiet intimacy they shared as they carved out a new existence together. But the specter of their old lives was never far away. Sanaa often gazed at the sky, her thoughts drifting to the Astra colony and the people she had left behind. Brandon, too, found himself haunted by memories of Earth, the weight of the decisions he had made, and the consequences that might still follow them. One night, as a storm raged outside, Sanaa turned to Brandon, her face illuminated by the flickering firelight. "What if they come for us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Brandon reached for her hand, his grip firm and reassuring. If they come, we'll face them together. But until then, this is our life. Let's not let fear take that away from us." Sanaa nodded, her expression softening. She leaned into him, finding solace in his presence. Outside, the storm raged on. But inside the cabin, there was only warmth and quiet resolve. As the months passed, the valley began to feel like home. The wilderness, once a symbol of isolation, became a source of freedom and possibility. Brandon and Sanaa, bound by their shared experiences and the choices that had brought them together, built a life that was both simple and profound, a life far removed from the turmoil of the world they had left behind. The rhythm of their days became a comforting routine. Each morning, Sanaa would step outside to tend the greenhouse, her hands sinking into the cool soil as the sun cast its first light over the valley. Brandon, ever watchful, maintained their small homestead, ensuring their systems were operational and supplies were well stocked. Despite the solitude, the work was fulfilling, and each accomplishment brought a sense of purpose neither had felt in years. On quiet evenings, they would walk along the stream that wound its way through the valley. The gentle babble of the water and the rustle of the trees created a peaceful backdrop for their conversations. They spoke of small dreams, expanding the greenhouse, building a better shelter for the winter, and larger hopes, though those were often left unspoken, carried silently in the spaces between their words. Their bond deepened with each passing day. Brandon found solace in Sanaa's resilience, her ability to adapt and thrive despite the hardships she had endured. Sanaa, in turn, drew strength from Brandon's steady presence, his unwavering commitment to their shared future. Their connection was quiet but undeniable, growing like the roots of the plants they tended together. But life in the valley was not without challenges. Harsh storms occasionally swept through, testing the durability of their shelter and their resolve. The winters were long and cold, requiring careful preparation and resourcefulness. Yet, even in the face of these difficulties, they found ways to support one another. Brandon would wrap Sanaa in his arms during the coldest nights, whispering reassurances as the wind howled outside. Sanaa, ever resourceful, would prepare warm meals that brought comfort and warmth to their small home. As time went on, they began to mark the passage of the seasons. The budding flowers of spring, the golden hues of autumn, the icy stillness of winter, each brought its own beauty and challenges, reminder of the cycles of life that continued despite the chaos they had left behind. Though the world outside their valley was a constant shadow on their thoughts, they found themselves less burdened by it with each passing day. Their new life, forged from the remnants of their old ones, became a testament to their resilience and their ability to carve out a haven in the midst of uncertainty. And so, they remained, two souls bound not by the chaos of their pasts, but by the quiet strength of their present. The valley, once a refuge, had become their world, a place where they could build, grow, and endure together. In its stillness, they found something they had both long sought: peace.